So I like to think that there's not like a one size fits all for gifts. And so I think that's the important thing about this channel is, I think creativity is the secret weapon here.
This is Outside Sales Talk, the best podcast for outside salespeople. I'm your host, Steve Benson, and we're here to chat with the world's top sales experts so that you can get their best sales tactics to level up your game. Welcome back to Outside Sales Talk. Today I have Kris Rudeegraap with us, and we're going to talk about an AE's secret weapon, automated client gifting. Welcome to the show, Kris.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here today.
Awesome. Well, and Kris is the CEO of Sendoso, which if you don't know, is a sending platform for corporate gifting, super rapidly growing over the last few years. Kris is a California native. He's got about 10 years of sales experience as an AE himself. And as a former salesperson himself, he really understands the interaction with clients and how to really make sales here. So it should be hopefully, yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna have some great conversation today. So, Kris, to kick it off, when you first started as an AE, tell us about your experience and what you learned and what caused you to do from your learnings there. What made you start building this gifting platform for AEs?
Yeah. So, like you said, it's
Actually,
been
but first, why don't you break down what Sendoso is, just so people understand it? Because I can give a basic intro, but you'll do it better, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think you did a good job, but I'll give you a little bit more context. So, as a sending platform, we help other sales teams send out corporate gifts, swag, direct mail, handwritten notes, collateral, you name it, we can send it. And so, it's a mix of software that integrates with your CRM or your sales tools. It allows you to have teams with roles and permissions and reporting analytics. Then there's a marketplace of all the things you could ever want to send under one roof. And then we have fulfillment centers, warehousing, drop shipping, printing facilities, all that behind the scenes to get something from point A to point B. So all that mixed together is what a sending platform is.
Very cool. Um, you said handwritten notes. Tell me about that. Does he have one of
Yeah,
those machines that is able to write it like it was written by hand?
both. We have machines, as we also have people that their jobs are to write handwritten notes as well.
Oh, okay. I've seen those machines work. They're really cool, although I'm much sloppier than they are. I'm like, that's decent handwriting. I lack decent handwriting. So,
You can train them to be sloppier, so you can say, "Hey, let's get some really messy handwriting."
oh, can you? That's
Yeah,
beautiful. Make it shake a little. That's perfect.
yeah.
Um, well, what would you say was one of the main things that you learned during your sales career that made you see a need for a platform such as this?
Yeah, so I'll take you back about 6 years ago when I was working at a company called TalkDesk. And what I found myself doing was trying to build better relationships, honestly. I think sales is about relationships. And, when I wasn't able to go visit clients in between, road shows and meetings, I found myself still wanting to provide that personal touch. And so I'd grab swag out of our swag closet, box it up, ship it out. Or I'd, remember that they were a big 49ers fan and they mentioned that they're having a kid and I'd go find a onesie on Amazon and rebox it and ship it out with a note. Or I'd, go get some Starbucks cards and send those out and, tell my prospects to enjoy coffee on me this week. And so doing some of these things and it worked really well. I saw a lot of traction from it, but it was just spending hours and hours of my time. My boss would always question my expense reports from Amazon. I'd be tracking links from FedEx, just trying to see was it delivered yet? Was it delivered yet? And so I dreamed about this idea of like, why isn't there a button you can click in Salesforce that sends stuff out for you? And that was kind of the simple aha moment. And then I asked a bunch of other sales friends. I did some research and saw that corporate gifting was, multiple $100 billion a year business already. And actually, a lot of people already doing it. Most of the best sales reps are doing some sort of gifting, whether it's dropping off donuts or whether it's, sending someone a DoorDash gift card. Some sort of relationship building happens through gifting. And I just saw that there was no modern software to make it easy and scalable and repeatable. And that gave me enough of kind of an epiphany to say, hey, I'm going to go start this.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very amazing story. And Why do you think giving people gifts, like giving a prospect or a customer gifts, why do you think that makes them happy? And I guess how do you I guess a corollary to that is how do you approach gifting to a prospect versus a customer?
Yeah. So your first question on like why it makes you happy, I think there's a couple of things. I think there's just human psychology around the excitement of opening up a box, what's inside, the psychology of hey, I just received something as a gift, and there's just some human behavior that people like getting gifts. I don't know how many people would shy away from wanting a gift, maybe a crappy gift, but that's the sales rep's job is to, or the sender's job is to give a great gift. And so I think it's just human nature there. On the prospect versus client side, I think the difference there is that you might know the person slightly different by the time they become a client, or they might have more. If you're this is the very first meeting, they might not have any kind of association with your brand. So sending swag might not be the right idea. But once they become a customer and a fanboy or a fangirl, then they're like, I love this brand. I want their swag too. So I think depending on where they are in the journey, whether it's super top of funnel first meeting, or 3 months in and they're almost going to sign the contract, or they've been a customer for 5 years, there's different things that you'd want to send along the way.
Makes perfect sense. And how do you measure the ROI of giving a gift as an AE or as a manager of a sales team, kind of evaluating, is this something that we want, or a marketing team even evaluating, is this something that we want to invest in, either sending stuff to prospects or customers? How do you approach making an economic argument for that and figuring out the ROI, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that our customers will look at that. One is, oftentimes they'll be doing this in some capacity, whether it's manual, whether it's one off. So they're taking a process that's taking away selling time from packing boxes, like what happened to me, or marketing time from doing other marketing initiatives. So there's kind of a build versus buy scenario where it's like, why not just have Sendoso send, source, and send and ship for me? So there's the ROI of just the time and money it takes. Another ROI is just not doing this enough, kind of the opportunity cost. If you can only send, when I was in sales, I could only send, 5 things a day. Now I could send, 500 things a day if I wanted. So we removed the boundaries of scale so that you can do it a lot more. And the channel's proven to be successful. And so I think there's the ROI of just direct mail and gifting overall, versus other things you're doing like sending email or having them see ads, or, you know, uh, other initiatives. And then I'd say there's some ROI as it relates to just, we can buy things at cheaper prices than you can, because we have economies of scale and because there's hundreds of millions being spent through our platform, kind of the Costco model, so to speak. And so
Hmm.
we can pass along those costs, and we can, buy stuff cheaper, pass it along, and you can save some money on the things you're sending out.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think the best gifts are for different people? How do you approach that? What do you recommend people do there?
Yeah, so I like to think that there's not like a one size fits all for gifts. And so I think that's the important thing about this channel is, I think creativity is the secret weapon here. And it's how do you really find something that relates to either the product offering, so that there's some kind of message that relates to what you're selling and there's a gift that is associated with that. Maybe it relates to a conversation you've had with a prospect. Maybe it's locality based. If it's storming and cold in the winter in Boston, and you send someone sandals, you're going to look kind of dumb. And so I think there's all these components where, sure, we can suggest things. And at Sendoso, we have suggestive sends and predictive gifting. And we have a send curator team that will actually work with our customers to brainstorm and create ideas for our customers. But then there's also ways where the salesperson or the account executive can come up with their own gift through our catalog and send that out and kind of be that creative superhero.
Very cool. Um, and what about what do you think the best strategy is around timing of gifts? Like what how do you how can an AE think about, okay, this is the budget that I have to send out for gifts. When should I send it? How could they approach that?
Yeah, so typically the way that I see it is, for most AEs, they're working in some kind of systematic approach to how they're either if they're full cycle and they're doing outbounding, or if they've getting meetings set for them and then they're just trying to work a deal. And typically there's some kind of buying process mapped out. If you're trying to drive a first meeting, you might be using one of those sequencing tools like Outreach or Salesloft or Groove or one of those, and we can be inserted into that. So we have an integration with those tools. So you can say, hey, I'm going to send an email, make a call, send a gift, follow up with a call, send a gift. And so we can be integrated in there. And then I think the other part, if you're maybe an AE and more downstream trying to close a 6 month sales cycle, it's really, what's better? Would you rather say, hey, checking in, it's Friday, how's the contract coming along? Or would you rather say, hey, grab lunch on me today. Here's a DoorDash gift card. Let's connect again once you hear back from, blah, blah, blah. And so I think it's just adding it in to where you'd normally have maybe like a boring, interaction, and it kind of spices up something that might be just a dry email.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, and I think it does get noticed, right? I mean, I've gotten a bunch of gifts over the years, and I always know I always remember it because I see the thing 10 more times because it's sitting in the kitchen or whatever, like a coffee mug or whatever. I've always, we've given away a lot of water bottles over the years at Badger, just at like events and stuff. And one of those like insulated water bottles with our name on it and stuff. And I think people really like that 'cause you can put coffee in it or water in it. And
Mhm.
our reps are field salespeople, right? Our customers are field salespeople, so it fits in. We had to get one that fit in the coffee holder of the car, but people seem to really appreciate it. I think people tell then maybe it's just maybe it's confirmation bias, but a bunch of people do mention to me over the years, like, oh, I mean, yeah, I'm still using that water bottle you gave me years ago. Like,
Exactly, exactly. It's something memorable, something that, oftentimes, sits on their desk, sits in their kitchen, or whatever the gift may be. There's oftentimes more longevity than just a digital interaction.
yeah, it's probably good to let people choose too. I don't know if you guys have a platform for
100%.
this.
Yeah,
Like,
we,
let them
we
be like,
allow
hey,
you.
which one of these 5 gifts do you want? Because then people choose the thing that they'll actually use.
Yeah, I think we offer a mix of whether you want to send something that you feel like the person should want, or that it's connected to like a campaign, like you're trying to drive someone to Dreamforce, and so there's something that you'd want to send that's related to the event. And we also have a choice option where you can let the recipient pick and choose what they want to. So I think it just, again, it's situational. But the nice thing is it's all baked into the same platform, and all the budgeting, the sourcing, the shipping, everything's all done for you. So you can think about the right situation, but you don't have to think about all the other hard parts of actually sending stuff.
Makes sense. Um, what are some gotchas here? What are the things that salespeople do that they should avoid, or that there are mistakes when creating kind of a gifting and sending strategy?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the mistakes is really a thinking it's a silver bullet and not thinking about what's happening before and after. So like, hey, I'm just going to send out, 100 gifts, and then I'm just going to assume people are going to start, requesting demos or something. I think there's a mix of, what's the right thing to send, and then how do you follow up. So I think that's important too. Is thinking about it is not just a single thing, but it's a mix of touches over the course of many weeks to get someone's attention, or to send them something that that you could actually follow up on. So I think the follow up's key. I think another gotcha is around the message that goes along with the gift. I think it's equally important that you think about that. You just don't want to say, here you go, you know so there's valuable real estate there in that handwritten note that you can really use to enhance the unboxing experience too.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'd say the other thing is, maybe one last one is that it is a channel you have to spend money on, so you have to think about it. You have to be creative. So it's you can't just throw money at it and expect it to work. There's a bit of creativity and time. So there's you've got to plan for it. But that is also has its wins because it's not a channel that just gets flooded. Email, you can send a million emails today and it costs you nothing. You can't send a million Yeti mugs. It's going to cost you, 50 million bucks.
Right, right. Yeah, someone sent me a Yeti mug, and what was funny, it was like a present for something, being a customer of someone, or they wanted me to be their customer, but they didn't put their logo on it. It's just the Yeti mug. It's the black, cool Yeti mug. And I remember they asked me even what I wanted, and I chose the Yeti mug, but then they never. I'm not sure. I forget now who gave it to me because like they didn't put their logo on the mug. I don't know if they forgot or what, but there's another lesson. Put the logo on the
Yeah,
thing.
totally.
I don't
Exactly.
know who to thank. but but yeah, well, let's do the next section, sales in 60 seconds. So quick questions, quick answers.
Sure.
Um, how often do you suggest salespeople use gifting as a strategy for improving their customer relationships? What do you think the cadence should be of gifts?
We see our best customers using it every day. So, and whether it's spending time thinking about what creatively you're going to send the next day. So maybe it's not sending every day, but at least blocking time and thinking about this is just another touch point that you have to be thoughtful on. But for many people, like if you're more of a full cycle trying to set meetings, we see customers using it daily.
Okay, interesting. So would you say that's one of the most valuable times to send gifts is when you're kind of in that trying to set the initial meeting, trying to get their attention stage?
I think it's all the time. Again, I think it's just like, how do you grab someone's attention? And then how do you build a relationship? And that could be done through, a bunch of things. That could be 50 phone calls. That could be, a mix of emails, phone calls, social, in person, gifts, all of that stuff. So there's no like secret formula, but it's something that, the more chances you have of making an impact on a person, the more chances you're going to have a better relationship and you're going to get what you want as the seller.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What would you say the number one thing is that differentiates a good salesperson from a great salesperson?
As it relates to Sendoso or just in general?
Um, I guess as it relates to Sendoso, as it relates to gifts.
Okay. So I'd say the great person is adopting this in everything they do. I'd say the good person is using this as a crutch or using this as a last minute resort and hasn't fully maybe embraced this as easy as it is as an email because it does take a little bit more effort. So the maybe lazier salesperson might say, "Hey, why should I think about something to send? Think about something to write? I'll just send over a quick email and save myself 5 minutes."
Sure.
So,
Um, do you have any good stories about like a gifting experience that either you or someone else had that had a very different outcome than what was expected?
um, you know, I, I, maybe not a different outcome. We've had a lot of times where the gifts get posted to social media, and so then it kind of goes viral. So we've seen that happen, dozens and dozens of times where where the recipient posts it and says thank you and shouts people out. So I think that's been some of the more cooler things because then we get to come back and see the our our customers prospects happiness.
Awesome. And what would you say the best corporate gift, um, like in terms of like impact or that you ever seen, received, or sent? Not necessarily by you, by anybody.
Um, I'd say the most popular one is actually custom socks. So we see a lot of people sending socks, and a lot of people just even at conferences love picking up some cool looking socks and uh, tend to be something that stays with you.
Absolutely. Until they get holes in them, right?
Yeah, or until you lose one of them mysteriously.
Where do all the socks go? I've
I know.
always wondered that. Well, as an actionable takeaway, what should the field salespeople who are listening today do as a first step towards getting better at client gifting?
Yeah, so I think the first step is just adopting a platform to make it easier for them, to make it more repeatable. I think a lot of field reps listening to this probably are like, "Oh yeah, I do that. Oh, I dropped off donuts. Oh yeah, I went and picked up some gift cards to send." So I think the best thing you can do is ask your boss for a tool that makes it easier for you to do more of it and at scale, or especially during times right now where you might be doing a little less in person, leveraging Sendoso to still build that personal relationships that you would get from face to face.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try to summarize the stuff you've taught us today really quickly here. So, Yeah, as an AE, Chris saw the need for an automated client gifting platform to build relationships. And depending on where your client is in their journey with you, are they a prospect, are they a customer? You can send different gifts at different times to build the relationship effectively. Using a platform for corporate gifting can make gift giving a lot more scalable. And it's great to be creative with your gift giving, relate the product to your offering, a conversation you have with the prospect, or, geographically, locally based. And remember to include a personalized message with your gift. Uh, and make sure including gifting in like a whole bunch of different ways you're touching your customers, and have it fit well within the overall plan and cadence, is another thing to keep in mind as you think about your gifting strategy. And think about clever ways to follow up after you send a gift, like using it as a reason to have a conversation. Well, this is really cool, Chris. This is something that I've thought about a million times. How to do this better at scale. We've thought about sending coffee cups to everybody, and water bottles, and it's logistically painful to think about, but and so I think a platform can really make that a lot easier. Um, so, where can our listeners read more about what you're up to? How do they best reach out to you, or get information about what Sendoso's up to?
Yeah, so they can go to sendoso.com to hear more about us. We've got an awesome blog where they can get ideas and inspiration. If you want to connect with me personally, I'm Kris, Kris, at sendoso.com, or add me on LinkedIn and happy to connect that way.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate the time. This has been a great episode of Outside Sales Talk. If you work in field sales, you'll love Badger Maps. Number one route planner helps you sell 20% more, drive 20% less. You can get a free trial at badgermapping.com today. If anyone can think of any other sales reps that could benefit from what Chris has talked to us about today about corporate gifting, definitely share this episode with them, if it'll help them out. Chris, really appreciate you coming on, and take care until next time, everybody.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Later.